Welcome to Volume 11 Rocktalk Podcast, brought to you by Volume 11 Music. Your hosts, Rich Hoffa, Rick Lawhorn, and Mark Dunn. Rocktalk, Volume 11 Music.
Hey, how's it going? This is Rich. This is Rocktalk with
Rick Lawhorn
and Mark Dunn. We're here at Volume 11 Music in Fredericksburg, Virginia. In today's episode, we're going to talk about. We're getting ready to go to Christmas.
Holiday
Christmas
season
time,
is kind of hitting us here soon.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's
started showing commercials already for Walmart back in
that's
Halloween.
true.
That's right.
At Lowe's up at South Point, you had to walk through the Christmas decorations
Yeah,
to get to the Halloween decorations.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
y'all got this backwards.
Yeah.
So what we're going to talk about today is, honestly, Christmas can be, it can be, for us, it can be kind of a cringing time. And what I mean by cringing is that we have we'll get a lot of new students in. And when you're a new player in general, not only do you want to get something that you're really into as far as whether it's guitar, bass, drums, or whatever you're learning to play, but also, it's learning something new is challenging.
Yep.
And you don't need to make it any more challenging than it already is. And what we always try to do here at the store is make sure that we're selling stuff that's not going to be a challenge to a new player. And so we're going to get into that, some of the things that we see, and the reason for. I mean, people buy things online, but looking for certain things and making sure that you don't buy stuff that ends up with a bunch of repair bills before it's even playable. So we'll do that, but first we're going to get over with some housekeeping stuff. So if you like the channel, please like this video and hit that subscribe button. It really helps with analytics and all that stuff and algorithms, and gets us out there to more people, because we're having a really good time doing this, and we want to keep doing that. So.
Yep.
Here at the store, we're still working on the website. Hopefully that's going to be up here pretty soon. We've got a sale on PRS guitars, 15% off. We're getting ready for the holidays, so we're having a lot of new stuff come in, and we'll probably do what we do every year: buy a guitar, get a free lesson; buy a drum set, get a free lesson. So with one of these guys, so we'll do that. So we'll get into, you guys are teachers, so you guys have seen some of the new students come in with the dobro action and on their guitars, and we'll let you guys explain.
Dobro is a guitar that has really high string action.
Yes.
On purpose.
On purpose, right?
So we'll talk of it, for me, as a retailer side, and what these guys run into with their students. So I'll let you guys kick it off.
Rule number one: never buy your guitar the same place you buy your toilet paper from.
Yes.
That's true. So what I'm getting at here is, I'm sure Mark has been through this as well. We get these, younger kids are getting into guitar. We want to really make this a fun,
adults
enjoyable,
too.
and adults too.
If you
You're
don't
right.
know, you don't know.
Yeah, and they come in and they go, "Yeah, I just bought this guitar from a department store," and they come in for the first lesson, and we're trying to get them really going good, and then we find that, like you said, the dobro action, the strings are like that high off the neck, you can kind of slip a cup of coffee underneath of the action, and the guitar plays terrible. The electronics are wonky. They won't stay in tune. I mean, you're just fighting.
Not even that, they won't
battle.
get into.
They won't even get into. Right.
Yeah.
And you're fighting a losing battle. So. We can do the best we can to give you good instruction to get you playing right, but if you don't have a proper instrument to get you going right out the starting gate, then you're just fighting a losing battle. So my biggest thing is, and that's one thing I really love about what Rich does here at the store, we got great instruments at a good entry-level price. If you have somebody who wants to get in with your adult, a kid, whatever, we've got all kinds of great things here to get, and they're going to play good. They're going to play good. They're going to stay in tune good. We're going to get you out of that starting gate on the right track to learning how to play guitar and learning how to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And to Rick's point, to add on to that a little bit, it's not a dumb inference to think that if you can go to a big box department store, that it's going to be a less expensive instrument than what you might find here or any other store.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that less expensive instrument is less expensive for a reason, and then those students that Rick and I are talking about and Rich is talking about, they bring in that new guitar that might have been bought online or elsewhere, and I'll get to online in a second. I'm sure we both have stuff
right. We
about
do.
that.
Yeah.
But it needs a setup, and that setup's not free. And what the perceived savings are in purchasing that instrument from a place that, it's $30 or maybe even $100 less expensive than something in here, winds up being thrown out because you have to pay that to have it become playable for your lesson.
Yeah, right.
Or to even learn on. And the first thing I do, any of my students that are watching this, every one of them, the day I meet them, even if it's a guitar bought from here, because all guitars need adjustments at some point, just like oil needs changing and tires need changing, I look at the instrument and how many times do I come out to you and go, Rich, this guitar's neck should be used as a bow and arrow. Can you do anything for it before we get into the first lesson? To the point that I've actually asked Rich to inquire with students that are signing up for lessons with me and Rick to see their guitar before they even bring it in on the lesson, because it's so pervasive how jacked up they are.
Yeah.
So that's a buyer beware in general, and not slamming any retail or any other store. It just literally is what it is.
Yeah.
Or to add on to that as well, and it's a true stories here. I've had in the past students go, "Well, I bought this guitar because I don't want to spend a lot of money, and I bought it at a pawn shop. It's a pawn shop guitar."
Same deal.
And they come in, and the neck is so bowed that you could use it, for a bow and arrow if you want to. I mean, and it's just, again, you're just really putting yourself at a very disadvantage in having that instrument, playing.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like we're going to do a video on it because you wouldn't believe what I go through to keep the humidity level in this store the right humidity.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just because of our hair.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we can't have them. We can't have them with,
We don't
with
want to
bad
be
hair.
yeah, we
right?
can't be looking like a Clairol
We're-
pre.
We're a rock shop. Right? We gotta have the rock in
We
the
are a
room.
rock shop, but yeah, I mean, I have a gauge over there on the wall to let me know where the humidity is. Where the
Is it in the
guitar is.
market Rick zone?
Yeah, right. I mean, we've got a humidifier, we have a dehumidifier, and then we actually had the humidifier was putting out dust because of the minerals in the water. So I went and bought 2 distillers. So we're distilling our own water here at volume 11.
Sure we are.
So I don't have to, but yeah, the biggest thing is like, all the guitars, even the ones on the wall there, I don't care what the price range is, whether it's a $100 guitar or a $5,000 guitar, they need to be adjusted.
That's right.
And humidity will change the adjustments. And anytime you have fall, you have spring, you're going to have that.
Every year.
And Virginia's a wacky state.
Every
we
day.
have all
Get that in one day.
Yeah, one day, right?
I mean, we always say it's
be-
like a foreigner concert, right?
Yeah, right.
In the morning, it could be
Cold as ice, and then hot-blooded by 2 in the afternoon. Yeah.
So those things change it, but one of the things that with the better the guitar is, the less frequency you have with that kind of stuff. But you also with no humidity, I mean, the necks can shrink out, which makes you have fret sprouts,
frets are sharp,
and they're sharp. So for me, I don't want students to have a guitar that's not going to play. We want to make it play the best it can.
Good as it can play, yeah.
I mean, even the guitars in the boxes, I take every one of them out, and I've even I've even cleaned up the frets on an entry-level guitar, and I adjust the neck and make sure that they play the best that they can, so that when the student comes in, that they're not having something that is they're going to be fighting it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing on the drum set side. I mean, I don't sell drum sets in a box because it has to be put together right. And
Especially those left-handed kids.
yeah, exactly. But it has to be put together right, and if it's not put together right, it makes it very difficult to play it. And so anything that makes it hard to do, it's not easy to learn the stuff as it is, but it's also, you don't want to make it any harder than what it is. So I cringe every year when I see people rolling out with, and they don't do it here, but with a box with a drum set that they got to put together, and then they get it home and it's not put together right, and you got toms all this way too far apart. I've seen the bass drums backwards. I mean, all kinds of stuff, and it's just not playable. So the chances of the student succeeding is very, very slim when you don't have an instrument that plays the way
I'd like
it
to
should.
expand upon that, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for you on this. I wasn't even thinking about this till right now.
Yeah.
And I don't mean wag my finger at you.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for you. Volume 11. Is that if you are buying a first-time instrument for a specifically a younger beginner, but if anybody of any age, and their musical interests are such that, say they like to listen to Metallica or heavier rock stuff or anything like that.
That's another big one.
You don't, with all the respect, there is no sense in another adage. I mentioned an old adage in the previous episode last week, but the idea that you got to spend a year on acoustic before you can earn the electric is folly.
Right.
Yeah.
If I've turned away students with their parents when the young lad is wearing a Metallica T-shirt or a Megadeth, and they're like, "Well, which $99 acoustic should we get to?" I'm like, "None of them.
None. Yeah.
Because you're wasting your money." And my goal as an instructor, I'm pretty sure Rick's goal as an instructor, is to, cultivate joy in our lesson room by virtue of music and their interest in it of any age. Right. But also, for a first-time beginner, if this young person or beginner student is interested in metal, it's only going to piss them off, sorry for the colorful rhetoric, to get an acoustic guitar and start playing wagon wheel. Yeah. Nothing against wagon wheel, nothing against acoustic guitar. Conversely, if you have somebody that's into folk, Americana, strumming country songs, whatever, then buying a full-blown electric rig is probably not necessarily a prudent idea either. And in the end, if the student continues with music and the guitar in general, they're going to wind up playing both regardless.
Right.
So
great comment.
It's one way to just if you're going to do that, the first step in cultivating the interest is to appeal to the interest in the proper lane. That's it.
Yeah, and I'll use I'll add to that my experience. When I was a kid, I wanted to play guitar. My dad was a drummer. My first instrument, I wanted to learn how to play guitar. Still want to learn how to play guitar.
I know a teacher.
I got a couple of really good teachers. Kind of silly, and I do play a little bit. But at the end of the day, my parents, I wanted to rock out. I wanted an electric guitar. I wanted to play rock music, and I got a classical guitar. Pretty close. I mean, I got a. Well, it's kind of funny. I got a classic guitar, and my parents got me classical lessons. And she said to me, my mom was like, "Well, you could play anything if you play that." When it's to a point, but it's not necessarily true. I mean, it's just different. It's a different style. Same thing. I went into school band. I wanted to play, and of course, it didn't last. I wasn't interested in it. I didn't want to do this. I wanted to rock out. I wanted to play with a pick. I wanted distortion. And then I go into school band, and I wanted to play drums. Well, no, we want you to learn how to read music. So I got a saxophone, and so here I'm a
great instrument.
And because it is, and I was a bigger kid.
Bow tie illustrator, but it's
so they get me a tenor sax. So not only was I playing saxophone, but I'm dragging around this huge case and all that stuff. Didn't work out. I played it for a year, and that was kind of the end of it. But yeah, that's our philosophy here. If the student's interested in more electric-oriented music, we really push towards electric guitar that plays well. It's going to give them something they're interested in. They can get into go into what they want to learn. Vice versa, if you want to do the acoustic stuff, then that's the way to go.
And to add on to that, for any buyers for sons and daughters to get into the electric guitar realm, don't be afraid of what you consider to be loud, raucous sounds, because amplifiers that come today, little practice amps, have great sounds and tone at minuscule bedroom volume levels.
Yeah.
So it's not. Don't think that you're going to sit there and just, be going through, get electric guitar torture like a screeching violin, which you really can't hide from. I mean, not to besmirch violin players, because I was one as a fifth grader as well, but the level of improvement in quality over entry level instruments and the ability to, and with headphones, can play with headphones. They have, in the amplifiers, they'll have inputs. Some of them are even Bluetooth, where you can just jam along to your tune or through the same sound source. So don't be, but just more importantly, appeal to whomever is receiving this gift. Appeal to their musical tastes, and get them.
Kind of like saying, I want to play ice hockey, so I got a catcher's mitt for my, it's the same analogy to me. I mean, if you want to play, like you said, hard driving Metallica, then you want an electric guitar that's got some distortion on it.
And I think Rick both have the same record with a student of under 4 or 5 minutes of playing a riff on the first lesson. not with everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
But getting the
Yeah.
student to put their fingers
No, I
down.
try to get them going. Yeah,
Yeah,
as you
right
do
away.
it, I mean,
Right
Mark,
away.
you do that as
It's
well,
just-
yeah.
it's
We
like
want them to
just-
have fun, and we want you playing cool music. You know?
Yeah.
And volume wise, the same thing with drums. I mean, we carry electric sets. You know, they're quiet. Put headphones on. You can't put an amplifier with it. I'm an advocate of acoustic drums, of course, and you can quiet those down as well. There's different muting and things like that. There's actually different sticks you can use that quiet it down. And it just, you know, it's anything instrument wise, you're going to have sound to it. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But and that's one of the things is with taking lessons, you're on the path to go the right direction, and we get the student trying to, and it's all what they put into it, but also getting them to play music quickly,
Right.
versus constant online stuff where it's very fragmented and
Can't ask
not
YouTube a
learning,
question.
can't
Nope, that's
ask you
right.
questions. You don't know how to put things together, and so that's why in-person lessons are absolutely fantastic to do. So.
Yeah.
I think that's equally as important to get the right instrument
Yeah.
as getting an instrument that doesn't need so much of adjustment. you
Yeah,
know,
right.
Because it was a perceived value. So there's a little bit of a thought process. Which, and by the way, when you come into the store, had this podcast or episode never been aired, this is exactly what you would hear from us.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, so it's
Yeah.
we're
We're
just
keeping
kinda,
it real.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
kind of getting. On the
Well,
front.
not only that, like when you're picking out stuff, it's especially guitar wise, it's you can look at something and go, oh, that is really really cool, but when you sit down with it, it's not as cool as you thought. It didn't feel right.
When
I've
the
done
lights
that,
come on
yeah,
at 2 in the morning.
That's right. But so that's the thing to think about too is making sure that you sit down with something and it feels right in your hands. Drums are a little different because you can adjust them where you need them to be. Guitars are other than adjusting the string action stuff, the way the guitar feels is the way the guitar feels. If it's got a thicker, chunkier neck, it's going to have a thicker, chunkier neck, which is for smaller hands is going to be more difficult. So, but those are all things that we go over with you when you come into the store and talk to you about instruments. But I think that wraps it up for this week's.
Where are you playing
where
this
are you
weekend, the
playing?
15th
That
and
will
16th?
be on the 16th. We're at the Eagles, Fredericksburg Eagles with Cactus Jack.
the
From
Animal
8
Clubs.
The Animal Clubs. They treat us great. Have a lot of great times there. So we're from 8 to midnight and doing a mixture of classic rock, southern rock, country, old country, new country. Just a lot of fun, good time music.
I'll be in. I don't have a show anywhere in this area, but I'll be down in Virginia Beach at South Beach Grill on the 16th. There's a band called the Bone Shakers that's celebrating their 40th anniversary.
Cool.
So they became a band when I was in junior high, and I've just been friends with the guys. So it's going to be a fun kind of a homecoming show. Really.
Yeah,
nice,
Even though
nice.
I was never in the band, but I'm part of a gathering of other guest guitar players to come in and just share in their longevity. if
Kind
you will.
of curious, what
cool.
kind of music do they do? Like, what's
So
something
the
they do?
Bone Shakers were one of those bands when I finally got able to get into clubs, which wasn't because I was of age, it's because I was playing. They played that kind of not new wave, but what the term progressive rock got hijacked for a while in the 80s.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so when you say progressive rock back in 85 to 90, it meant stuff like the Cult, Hoodoo Gurus, kind of bands that you would see Sunday night late on MTV on 120
Right.
minutes.
There wasn't guys from England wearing long capes like in 1972.
Right,
Like,
right.
Yes, or
Yeah,
Genesis
it
or
wasn't
King
progressive
Crimson.
rock.
Yeah, yeah, right.
But it's like I said, the term.
No, I remember that though. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was, the same thing. Oh, I'm in a progressive. And I'm thinking, oh, you play King Crimson, you play Yes. No, we play The Cure, we play U2.
Yeah,
Just thought it was
right,
maybe like
yeah.
new and different at the time, but it
I mean,
wasn't.
and I was a kid going, that's not.
Yeah.
The Cure doesn't sound anything like Yes.
Yeah.
But
I'm used to see Rick Wakeman with hair down to his waist and a cape down to his
Exactly.
feet playing, these intricate keyboard lines.
But
with
the
Yes,
Bone Shakers would play The Cure and REM, and they did their own record called Oh So Black when Cellar Door had a record label for them.
Right, yeah, I remember
They
that.
were the first release, I think,
Cool.
on that.
Yeah.
But they would also be the band that would play Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Like they would
okay.
finish out a set, or
Still
Sweet
do
Child
that.
of Mine.
Right.
So
Put a
it was
good rocker in there.
Yeah,
and along
because
with the
everybody's roots are
progressive-y.
that. But
Yeah, definitely.
nobody's really, it was all about getting the attendees on the dance floor. And
Yeah.
a lot of those English progressive rock bands that were not progressive rock bands in the late 80s.
And it did seem more of an English thing.
It totally
I mean,
was.
from what I remember.
It
you
totally
know,
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing at the South Beach Grill on Norfolk Avenue in Virginia Beach on Saturday the 16th.
Cool.
All right. Well, that's cool. That concludes this episode of Rock Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and if you have any questions, send them in. We'd love to answer them for you. But we'll see you next week on Rock Talk. Have a good one.
This has been an episode of Volume 11 Rock Talk Podcast, brought to you by Volume 11 Music.